Good evening, Oriole Nation, and welcome to this month's board meeting.
Please, I didn't know where it went. Oh, usually go over here. I didn't know where it went, so I didn't want to get
Yes.
Well, Jim.
Oh, yeah, James.
Long story, but I was early and he must come in early. Congratulations.
No. So we only have the one person.
So,
And
this past
I'm like, oh, hey, mom.
I'll do right here.
Over the years, paper sometimes. Sort really.
Water, y'all good? Pretty good with water? I'm good.
All right. I'm back in open session. So our first item tonight is election of officers.
All right, so with this is an annual process and a great process for our board. And we've got a brand new board member too as part of this. So we reorganize every single year. But I'm going to start out with, for the group or for the board for that matter, do I have any nominations for the present position within the board?
I'll nominate John Guy.
Second.
Any conversation, dialogue? Seeing none, we'll go to a voice vote. Yep, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations, John.
Our next role that we are going to go through is vice president. So I'll look for a motion to nominate someone for vice president.
Nominate Steve.
Doc.
Second.
All right. Then we will do a, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against, say nay. All right, awesome. So Steve, congratulations on vice president. Our next item is looking for our clerk. With Terry stepping away from the board, we need to assign a new clerk. So I'll look for a nomination for the clerk on the school board of North Fond du Lac. I'll nominate Rick Matthew.
Second.
All in favor? Say aye. Aye. All, anyone against, say nay. All right, congratulations, Rick, on the clerk. Our next item is for the seat of treasurer. So with Rick becoming the clerk now, we'll have an open seat for treasurer. So look for a recommendation for the treasurer seat.
Nominate Jacob.
Second.
You're all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against, say nay. All right, congratulations, Jacob. hand over the papers.
Do we have oath of office?
Yes, can we do that? That'd be awesome. So, again, we get the wonderful pleasure of inviting a brand new elected board member into our board, which is fantastic. Ms. Katie Gallings is gonna be there. We're gonna do this official, so I'm gonna ask Katie to stand, I'll stand too, and we'll go through the process of the oath of office, okay? So just repeat after me, all right? I state your name.
Katie Goings,
Put your hand up.
Yeah. Who have been elected to office
who have been elected to office
of school board member,
of school board member,
but have not yet entered
but have not yet entered
upon the duties thereof,
upon the duties thereof,
swear I will support
swear I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully
and will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of said office
of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Give the children our support. Give these some new delay. Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What about these two guys? Can I do that? Are they already in? or-
I think they're already in, but we can,
Okay.
if you want to repeat, we can do that too.
I think we're.
I think you're in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sworn in, yeah. that's
Yep,
fine.
yep, they're good. All right.
All right.
And welcome back, let's just say. Yeah, congratulations to Jacob and to John being reelected for the positions here too as well. We're really lucky to have this supportive and amazing board for our district.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Matt. Our next item is board mission statement and agreements.
Yes, get my little tab out here. I don't know if I can read my mission statement from that little piece of paper. Can you just read that, please? Thank you. Okay, so our mission statement is we will develop policy that is representative of our community, set goals, and lead our district by collaborating. And then our beliefs are threefold: stand up and own it, we are one, and then courage to grow. Standing up and owning it means as an individual, how can we bring the best version of ourselves to this, but also share where we're at and what we feel so we can best help the rest of our district. The we are one is we need each other to be better. We can't do it alone. And then finally, courage to grow. Every single meeting, how do we continue to just be open and be curious to what's out there and gain a little bit more understanding of how we can be better as a full district.
Thanks for sharing those. Next item is consent agenda. We have 6 items listed. Approval of special meeting minutes from April 23rd, 2025. Approval of special minutes from April 9th, 2025. Approval of special minutes April 7th of 2025. Approval of special meeting minutes from April 3rd, 2025. Also approval of our regular meeting minutes from March 17th, and then our treasurer's report, all which are found in our board packets. So I will look for a motion to approve consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. When you ready, Rick?
Hawk,
Yes.
Hempner,
Yes.
Geckerman,
Yes.
Gallings,
Yes.
Happy, yes.
Okay, excellent. Our next item is board members share a moment of pride. It's an opportunity for us to share, something since the last meeting that maybe we got to take part in or witnessed. That's just awesome about our district. So I don't know if anyone would like to start.
I can start. This is actually a little personal for me. My daughter, Meg Putty, chaired her last meeting as president of the Trevor board tonight. A few months ago, her employer told her they prefer that she step down from the board, so that's the reason she's leaving the board. But I'd like to recognize her contributions both to Trefford and to Exploration. She's been instrumental in initiating and growing both schools, spending a ton of hours trying to help make things better for the kids. So I'm sure going forward, while I'm not on the board, she'll continue to find a way to contribute. And I can just say Lori and I are exceptionally proud of her and what she has contributed to the kids in our district.
Thanks for sharing. That's great.
Yep. Great.
Jacob, Joe?
Yeah, so, let's see, since the last meeting, I had an opportunity to attend the National Honor Society banquet, and it was, congratulations to the outgoing group and of course the incoming group and those that are still in it. So it was a nice banquet just a couple of weeks ago, so.
Awesome.
I was asked again this year to be part of the scholarship committee at the high school. It's always an enjoyable thing reading through the applications and seeing the successes of our students and their hopes and dreams for the future. And this year we had the most applicants of any group in quite a while that I've been doing this. So I think there were 18 seniors who applied for various scholarships. So I think Julia, you were part of the committee also, right? I'm going to add a couple quick ones. I also was invited to judge we all were, but I was able to make the Cupcake Wars and what we call home ec now. I always forget the new name, but
Family consumer.
Yeah, there we go. And that's cool. The difference with, it's an engagement thing with the teacher and the kids, a fun reason to be at school in addition to just the hardcore learning day-to-day stuff. And there were some amazing cupcake designs and themes, and they were all delicious too. Even though I know the way the schedule falls, some of the stuff had to be made a day or two ahead, but it still rang true as being very good. So I don't know if any of you guys were in that class, but that was cool. And then just one last thing, just a big thank you to I call them the referendum committee. I don't know if they're a parent committee or a community committee that helped out leading up to the referendum with all the hard work. Katie, you were a key person of that, and some of the others too. They just put a lot of effort into it, and really, just by the emotions afterwards when we found out that it hadn't passed, you could tell it meant so much to that group, and I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Steve.
I had the opportunity to spend the day in the kindergarten classroom during AIMS web testing. And I think, man, I was exhausted after that. So, I mean, we have incredible staff all around, but those kindergarten teachers are just really special. The things that they do with those kids on a daily basis. And there's a lot of needs all around at that age. And I think it's just, it's incredible. So I had the opportunity to do that and I enjoyed it, but was exhausted. I also want to give a shout out to the folks that are in the room here from State Soul Ensemble. So I saw that email come out and that's amazing. You guys all did great at such a high level. So congratulations.
That's awesome. Excellent. Had a couple things additional. One, post-prom parents that leaned in and helped. I was the opportunity to be there that night and it was amazing to see how many kids came. So I hope everyone had fun, and it was a small group of parents that helped put that together, and the community, all the donations that came in, that stuff doesn't happen really by accident. And it just goes to my other part, which is something proud of, but also a call to action is really around like volunteering. I see emails that come out around helping with middle school track or, coming to help with post-prom or whatever it may be. And just really encourage, if anyone's listening or in the room that can give back a little bit more, that's what makes really North Fond du Lac special, is the ability for everyone to help out and make experiences for our kids. So I just want to thank everyone that has taken the opportunity to do that this year, and for the ones that are thinking about doing it in the future. So that's everything I have. All right. Is this the last meeting?
Yeah.
Make it, yeah?
Louise, can you tell us, after maybe your stuff, what your plans are, and just so everybody knows, moving forward after?
I can say right now.
Okay.
In the fall, I'm planning to attend UW Stevens Point to major in, I've changed my major to major in secondary education. It's a double minor in family and consumer sciences and music, and then go back to get my master's in administration.
Awesome.
So I'm excited.
Yes.
We're ready for you, Louise.
Yeah.
I want to come back.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I good?
Yeah.
So the student council, we have officially elected our next year's representatives. If you could all help me congratulate the following students: President Lady Ovando, Vice President Giselle Prudencio, our co-secretaries Cora Foster Rivera and Kimberly Diaz. And then I'm gonna let a new president take a paragraph or two.
So the student council held a middle and high school extravaganza egg hunt. We had about 150 students that participated and collected eggs. Eggs were hidden all throughout the hallways of both schools. We had 9 golden eggs with the prize of an Easter basket created by the class representatives.
A few upcoming plans. Student council representatives will go give a discussion to the 8th graders about becoming members and officers. Start pre-planning for next year's homecoming spirit dress week. And as our seniors' last few days are approaching, we will begin a Kiss a Senior Goodbye sales in the 2nd week of May.
For our Key Club International, we have officially elected our next year's representatives as well, our officers. President Kimberly Diaz. And then our Vice President Brea Pollock, our Secretary Aranza Morales, and our Treasurer Yari Ganao Santos. And then
The Key Club is having their annual end of the year report on Wednesday, April 30th at 7 a.m. We will have members of the Kiwanis attend with a free breakfast, and we will also announce the Kiwanis scholarship winners that morning. We would also like to congratulate the Student Volunteers of the Year, freshman Alexa Bennett, sophomore Abigail Long, junior Giselle Prudencio, senior Luis Garcia. Out of our 66 members, we have a total of 1,195 recorded hours of service for the whole entire year.
Wow. And then for NHS, National Honor Society, the NHS banquet was held on Sunday, April 6th. We inducted 19 new members and graduated 31 seniors. We have officially elected our next year's officers, President Macy Broughton, Vice President Brea Pollock, Secretary Quinn Hughes, and Treasurer Austin Foyt. Then as mentioned, we usually do a student accomplishments. So a huge congratulations to our Oriole musicians who performed at the State Soul Ensemble Festival hosted at UW Oshkosh. Nova Lopnow, Kirsten Paris, Zach Lewick, Adler Meyer, Reese Style, and Abby Wagner. Any questions?
Lots of presidents in the room today.
I know.
Luis, what would you suggest for the next person coming into your role for next year?
Have your report done a weekend. It's not always easy during the day of. Talk loud. Practice in the mirror.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yes.
Good advice.
So Luis was not only a great president, he also makes a mean bucket of popcorn at the movie theater. Just so you know, so. You may see me once in a while. But no, we appreciate it, Luis, everything you did this year, and yeah, it's been an amazing year, so thank you.
Thank you.
Wish you the best too.
Yeah, best of luck.
Thanks.
All right, excellent. As always, you're welcome to stay, or if you have other things to leave, welcome to leave as well. So, our next one is State Soul Ensemble. So, who am I turning it to?
Oh, yes, I'm going first.
There you go.
Wow.
All right, so as Luis already kind of set it up, we did have 7 events go to State Soul Ensemble this past weekend, 3 of which were instrumental solos. So earning a second was Kirsten Paris. She played a timpani solo, which is the first time that a percussion event has gone to state in my time in North Fond du Lac. And then earning a first was Zach Lewick on his trumpet solo, and Abby Wagner, who you will hear from in a little bit, on her piano solo. Unrelated to music, I'm also the forensics coach, and we went to state on Friday, April 11th, and we had really great success, so I hope it's okay if I share that with you as well. Earning a bronze medal was Kennedy Balthazar and Sloan Johnson in group interpretation, and Adrena Furman in solo serious. Earning a silver medal was Addison Bauer, Devin Benoit, and Elsie Conger in a play acting group, Dakota Chancellor in Moments in History, Rose Girdham in prose, Adler Meyer, Reese Style, and Abby Wagner in play acting, Brooke Peterson in impromptu, and then there were 4 groups that earned a perfect score of 25 and earned a gold medal. Brisa Hernandez in oratory, Kamaya Markovsky in poetry, Lizzie Schneider and Jaden Pickett did group intern, and Amelia Badness in Farrago. So it was really great.
And then vocally, on the flip side of that, we had students know a lot now, received a second at state. Students Zach Lewick, musical theater, solo got a first. Adler Meyer, musical theater, solo got a first, which you'll hear in a little bit. And Restyle, a classical, got a first there as well. The last 3 years also, I wanted to recognize Zach Lewick, who has been a member of the WSMA State Honors Choir. And through that process, has represented the district, the community well, not only at the summer camp following or preceding that next school year, but then that school year at the fall convention, music convention, they perform, the ensemble does for the music educators in the state, and they get to work with that. So I wanted to congratulate Zach on 3 years as a member. So and also related to that, sort of passing the baton, so to speak, and to represent the school district next year, we had 3 students be selected through audition to next year's WSMA Honors Choirs. Adler Meyer, congratulations, Adler. Restyle, congratulations to Reese. And Nova Lapnow. So all 3, congratulations to them. So all 3 through audition, there's about 1,600 auditions that take place throughout the state in 2 weekends in February. And then through that process, about 400 students through the orchestra, the band, jazz band, and the choirs are selected through audition. And Adler, Reese, and Nova were 3 of those, I guess, 150 vocalists total for those spots of all those auditions. So tremendously proud of them and recognition and the accomplishment that is entailed. So with that, we'll have our sample of music before we talk about next school year and what happens in the fall. But should we have Abby go first?
And this is bad as the pixel.
Do you want to tell them what you're playing?
Oh, sure. I'm playing the second movement of Beethoven's Pathetique Sonata, so if that means anything.
And we'll have Adler introduce his piece.
Is right here.
That's fine.
I'll be singing Charlie Brown's Kite from the You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown musical. More speed, little more rope, little more wind, little more hope. Gotta get this stupid kite to fly. Gotta make sure it doesn't snag, doesn't trip, doesn't drag. Gotta watch out for every little whoops. Less speed, little more tack, less rise, little more slack. Gotta keep my wits about me now. Gotta make sure it doesn't get the best of me till I get it in the air somehow. Millions of little kids do it every day. They make a kite and poof, it's in the sky. Leave it to me to have the one fool kite who likes to see a little kid cry. Less talk, a little more skill, less luck, a little more will. Gotta face this fellow eye to eye. Now that I've seen you chasing bulls, climbing trees, digging holes, wrapping your strings on everything passing by. Why not fly? Wait a minute, what's it doing? It isn't on the ground, it isn't in a tree, it's in the air. Look at that, it's got the breeze now, it's past the trees now, with room to spare. Oh, what a beautiful sight, and I'm not such a clumsy guy. If I really try, I can really fly a kite.
So not only has Adler and Abby and others have showcased themselves individually, both vocally, instrumentally. Last week, we had the 37th annual Chili Supper, some great success there. This coming weekend, we have the 37th annual Choral Cabaret, Friday and Saturday, 7 p.m., shameless plug. Next month, month of May, we have a lot of things happening, both in the PAC and otherwise. Middle school band choir concerts, high school art show in the Commons, the Strezic concert as well, taking place in the PAC at 6:30. The following week, we have graduation in the gymnasium at 6:30. The previous week, we have senior scholarships at 6 o'clock in the, so month of May is no rest for the weary.
Friday is friendship,
and friendship.
For the fifth grade program,
May 2nd,
2 o'clock.
or if they want to
Just see the individual grades, 9:45 to 9:15, fifth grade, 9:30 to 10. The fourth grade, 10:15 to 10:45, third grade.
there it is. And then out and about in the community.
Memorial Day parade on Memorial Day.
So again, no rest for the weary in that regard. So obviously last year with Charlie Brown, that was our 11th annual fall musical. We're happy to bring back to the stage the 12th annual fall musical for the school district of North Fond du Lac. Put it in the calendar, Friday, November 7th, Saturday, November 8th, Sunday, November 9th, 7 p.m., 7 p.m., 2 p.m. We don't know until a few weeks from the Packers schedule, if maybe that's their bye week, who knows, that might be, who knows. But we're excited to bring our 12th annual fall musical. Our co-directors, Julia Lightery, Mrs. Catherine Ahrens, our other co-director, Krista Kleiderman, sends her best as well. She couldn't be here tonight, but wanted to extend her excitement as well. So we're gonna be bringing the holidays a little early next fall will be performing a
Christmas.
Carol.
November 7th, 8th, and 9th. So the classic Charles Dickens brought to you at the School District of North Fond du Lac.
That's exciting.
Nice.
And musical fun.
More information will be given to students. Any student of the high school can audition. The first day of school, second day of school. We'll have informational packets before the summer break. Also, if students want to be participating in stage crew, tech crew, helping construct the set, paint the set, there's opportunities for a student pit band as well. So things to have many students encompassed. We have about 50-ish that are involved one way or another, either on the stage, behind the stage, under the stage. So we're happy to showcase everybody's talents. So I think I covered everything. Thank you so much for having us.
Any questions?
No questions, everyone's got smiles. Right? Thank you all for joining us today.
And thank you for just, taking part in the arts. It's such a vital part of the learning as well. And I think it'd take you so many different places, but it's just an unreal experience if you have that opportunity. I'm glad you all are diving right into it and keep doing it. And if you're graduating and going on, because it just is a great thing for your own best version of yourself. So appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Louise, we meet in the summer too, you're more than welcome to pop in.
Yeah, popcorn.
I'll bring popcorn.
Great job.
Brianna had her softball game this evening, so she couldn't make it. But maybe I'll come next month.
There you go.
All right.
Thanks,
Have a good rest of the year, please.
You as well.
All right, our next item is clerk's report.
All right, 2 donations this month to Backpack Buddies, Wayne and Janice Shingen for $100, and All Tools MTD Inspection Service LLC for $1,000. Both of those guys are frequent and generous donors, and we appreciate them very much.
Awesome, yes, thank you. Next item is citizens' comments. We have no one else in the room, so we'll move on from that piece to superintendent's.
All right, more or less it's coming down to financial operations, or that bucket today. One of the first things we want to start having a discussion about the new policy or potential new policy on citizens' comments. We brought this up a little bit, but we want to just discuss this in open in terms of just how that might change for years to come in terms of just trying to collect, and provide a space where people can come in and share where they're at, and hopefully we get more people in the future. But I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. This is the current policy that's on here. I don't know if someone who's been on the board for a little bit can share a little bit about that. So let me grab what day. Here you go. It's easier this way. Almost there, everybody. Okay. So this is the current policy, 0167.3. I have sent this we have an organization called Neolo. Neolo is a company that works with us to make sure our policy is up to date. They meet the state and federal guidelines, and they give suggestions as well as making sure we're compliant with everything on the board, which is great because sometimes policy can sit for a little bit, and if you're not careful, it too changes pretty quickly, and we want to make sure that we get the best policy for everyone in our district moving forward. So this is the actual public comment at board meetings that we have right now. The agenda item, any person or group who would like to have item put on the agenda shall submit their request to the district administrator. Such request shall be subject to the recommendation of the district administrator and the approval of the board president. But getting into what we're talking about here is public comment section of the meeting. We've had a little bit of conversation about this in the past, but this is just resurging a little bit. And it's basically to prevent fair and orderly public expression. The board may provide a period of public comment at any regular meeting. The board and publish rules to govern such comment in board meetings. The presiding officer of each board meeting at which public comment is permitted shall administer the rules of the board's conduct. The presiding officer shall be guided by the following rules. Public comment shall be permitted as indicated on the order of business or of the discretion of the presiding officer. Only citizens that live in the district boundaries and parents that have students currently open enrolled in the district can participate in public comments. Citizens may make a brief statement of the board regarding a specific agenda item during their either unfinished or new business. The board president will recognize all speakers as time permits following the introduction, motion, and initial board discussion. Each speaker will have limited to brief statement. Total time allowed for the statements will be 5 minutes for each agenda item. Time limits may be extended by the presiding officer as warranted in his or her sole judgment. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and will be requested preface their comments by an announcement of their name and address. And then participants shall direct their comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. Moving on, we've got a whole slew of things here. All students shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. Employees of the district shall not use public comment time to address any work-related issues. These items shall be addressed through a different channel with the district administrator. Presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Request any individual to leave the meeting when the person does not observe reasonable decorum. Request the assistance of law enforcement officers in the removal of a disorderly person when the person's conduct interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting. Can call for a recess or an adjournment to another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. And then waive these rules is also a right of the presiding officer. The portion of the meeting during which the comment of the public is invited should be limited to 15 minutes unless extended by the presiding officer. The board may authorize administration to arrange for the recording, filming, photography, broadcasting, or live streaming of open sessions of the board meetings. Signage, banners, or other materials which impedes any person's view of proceedings, including a board member's view, shall be relocated as not to obstruct the views. This goes more into the recording than anything else and further obstructions. So looking at this, and I think getting this conversation or at least a discussion was, how do we get more people in here to like hear where people are at, but also to feel like they're part of that world. And I think a lot of this, frankly, comes from results of the referendum and individuals thinking that we don't, have a voice. We're not in that. So we wanted to start a conversation about this, at least at the board level. So today is more of like, what are some of those areas that we want to talk about or address, and how do we, make that better for the future? Not saying that we're going to create any policy today, but this is the start of it, so we can bring that policy back.
This doesn't say anything about, I thought, so I was wrong, I guess, that this doesn't say anything about board members replying. So does that mean what currently is allowed to the board members can reply? I didn't see anything. I could have missed it though.
The only thing I thought there was a portion where only the board or the presiding officer has the right to speak. If I remember that before, but.
Yeah, the way this is written, the new policy, we had specific language in before we had Neola standardize everything and do this with every district, or we did it locally. And based on our attorney and the administrator, finding out what has to be new policy and all that. And that's what I would like to see too. And most of this is fine. It all works. But that old policy, which I'd like to see come back, is where it says specifically the president can respond to a citizen's comments or direct, like the administrator, to answer the question or direct the administrator to get back to them if he needs to do some research or find something out. And then also if another board member would like to make a comment, they can request of the president, may I say something? And the president granted that if he or she felt it was appropriate. So, it's not to get into, a real long discussion with the people in the audience because it is a meeting of the board, but to allow, and what you touched on last time, Rick, was that we just don't sit here silent when they made some comments, and it gives them some understanding, at least we're hearing them or we can respond. And then the other point, the time limits seem to be fine, we can talk about that, but when I read the Fond du Lac school board minutes, I don't know if you see that in the paper, they have some, and not knock anybody, but they have some frequent flyers that are in almost every meeting minutes, and they're citizen comment, whatever they call it. And some of them get off on some unrelated, irrelevant stuff. So I think these time limits should be held to as much as possible with the right, like if we have a hot issue, like during COVID, we let things go for quite a while sometimes, just so everybody can feel like they were heard. They ask them, not to be repetitive if somebody's already made that point, but I think adding something along those lines would be necessary. I think the other rules seem to be fine.
Would you mean on top of like where it states 5 minutes up to 15, like more than that, or does that suffice on that piece that you're looking at?
I think that's fine as the guideline,
Okay.
again, depending on a particular meeting, if you feel like, there's one more person wants to speak, fine, let that go. One thing that I did remember now too, the policy tends to pertain to agenda items, which we don't have, in recent years, we haven't had much of that, but people used to come because they'd see something and they want to speak to the agenda item, which was allowed after the board was done discussing. But then the same set of rules should also be mentioned for the citizen comment section too, specifically in the policies. So that they know that pertains to them also.
Clarify that again. So there was was the agenda the superintendent's news or was it a different item that was added?
It was any agenda item.
Okay.
It usually was new business.
Yeah.
We typically don't have any old business, but on the agenda, but somebody in the audience may have a thought that they want to interject, because once in a while we'll see people kind of whisper to the person next to them, like they'd like to maybe clarify something or say something. This policy allows that within those rules. So, but again, I can't remember the last time that happened. It's been years, I think, that an audience member actually spoke to an agenda item. And then the president just has to be aware of what is it appropriate for the meeting or for following the rules.
And basically, the president has the right to shut it down whenever he or she chooses to do that, correct?
Yeah.
I
think if I remember the year I was president recently, there was a lady who had emailed us, and then during the comments, she started to read the whole email again to us, which was a page and a half long, and it was a valid issue, but I hopefully nicely kind of shut that down because we already had all that input from her, and I think I asked her just to conclude or come to a conclusion. Some of the Fond du Lac stuff, they may be talking about something nationally that happened in a district in California, and is it really relevant to what we're doing here tonight for this meeting kind of thing, and you can interrupt them and that, but for the most part, it all goes pretty smoothly. But again, the key point to it all is, I think, allowing some response to the person so that.
Yeah, which isn't clearly stated in this, right? So that might be
We
the,
need to add that.
Yeah,
And then the process of how that works too,
Yeah.
because like you were saying, Steve, if the president is, or the presiding officer is the person who responds, or the administrator, if he or she wants to turn to the administrator, they can do that. And then I like the other part of, if another board member wants to respond, they have to request the president or the presiding officer to say it. So something like that in there too, so they know like the process for how to make that happen.
I just think, yeah, I think it's extremely important to be heard to be able to respond, right? So I think that's the piece is, we just don't wanna be, I don't wanna, I'll speak for myself, I don't wanna be sitting here if there's a comment and we can provide value to that conversation, but we're unable to share that. Because we wanna have that open dialogue, the transparency with the community, so.
And the point of the other board members asking or whatever is just to, so it doesn't become a free for all.
Right, that makes sense, yeah.
Talking at the same time.
I agree with that. I had nothing else besides, when I read it, I didn't see what you were just talking to, Steve, so.
Okay, I can drop you a note and.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Redo what
And then we can just add, or make that addendum and put it in there as a draft, and you all can look at the next time around, and then that would be our first read then.
Yep. Right.
And then we'll go, and then get the second read by July,
Okay.
if not sooner, June, potentially. Yeah, because we'll have it in May.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else, anything else on that?
No, I think that's a good step, I mean, the hot topics have kind of died away, but the few meetings I came to right after COVID, people talked and didn't get a response, and then they're like, well, why do I bother coming if I'm not gonna get a response?
Exactly.
Agreed.
And I think it just feels awkward for everybody sitting here just to say, okay, noted. I mean, yeah. Okay, next on the docket, I'm just gonna pull down here. So obviously, as a result of, the referendum not passing and making up, around $2 million of what we had to meet where we need to meet for the budget. One of the things that had a conversation and discussion was school fees and some other areas. So these are recommendations, and just want to note some of the different things that are coming up here, and it's open for discussion and dialogue. In terms of, this is specific to Oriole zone, okay? So I know we had kind of went back and forth with what would happen with that, but given the idea of raising those costs and changing that, I think we're going to be able to afford to continue it, but it is different from what we have paid in the past. Number one, there's a registration fee now, like that has to be subjected, and non-refundable, $25 per student. The other thing that comes into play is the rates in the morning sessions is $6 per student per day, and then $8 per student per day. I think we were talking about half of that.
It's probably 3 and 4, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And this is the recommendation for next school year.
correct. This would not be for the remainder of this year, but at the start of the 25-26 school year. Okay? Any discussion, conversation about that?
What's the thinking of the $25 per student, right? Like,
I think it's basically, as it says underneath it, trying to meet the consumable materials and costs. It was difficult to do that with what we were getting. So this covers that and helps, the students have a better experience with some of the activities and different things that are being run at that time.
okay, and these changes would then provide us the opportunity to have the same level of service for next year.
Yes.
Okay.
Any conversation, questions? Okay, moving on. Also looking at student fees from the K-5 grade, and then Treffer Way, $38 school fee, 6th through 8th, $45, and then 9th through 12th, $60. Again, this is a very important note in the disclaimer here. Upon completion of the waiver form, the above fees may be waived for students who qualify for free meals and reduced to half for families who qualify for reduced meals. So basically, if you have reduced, you pay half of what is up there. If you have free, then the whole price is negated for that individual or family. We're increasing the parking fees, I think only about $5 because it was like $25. This is substantially low. If you look at most parking places, usually some school districts I came was like $75 a semester. So the fact that we're still at that is fine, but just something to think about for the future too, for that, because that helps a lot with different things like activities and things going back into it based on that dollar amount. And then any replacement sticker, so if a student loses that, it's $15 going forward.
Is there any reduced fee for that?
Yeah,
For the parks
same,
as well?
it's the same,
So
it's all the same, so like no matter what, it's all across if you have filled out the paperwork.
Okay.
Same with athletic fees, participation, you're seeing here, Bessie Allen 30, Horseman 45, which is a little bit more than last year. And then the athletic season, getting into passes per year, so the adult pass going up a little bit to 38, a family pass that basically goes throughout the whole year is 75, which these comparable to other districts is very low. But again, we're just trying to slowly engage a little bit higher every year that we're gonna be doing that. Senior citizens over 60, free, please request a pass from the high school, and a ticket taker for each of those games. And then Nfdl students, we've always felt like that's important that they get free because they should be at these events for the kids, and we're not gonna ask them to pay for something that they should just be able to be part of for moving forward.
I can tell you, and I saw in the results, previous board meeting with the income raise for sporting events. From going to a lot of the sporting events, it's much more consistent, I think, that there's someone there at the ticket booth, where I think probably a few years ago, that probably wasn't the case. And then you could, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it's good that we're seeing an outcome of that, that'll go back into the programs, right? There was a noticeable increase, at least from year over year, that I noticed. So just want to thank everyone. I know those folks come in to do that. That's really helpful.
It's going back to that volunteering /
It is.
helping or assisting and getting more families involved. That's a huge part of it. Because there's a lot of events that we have, which is fantastic too for our community. Any other questions, dialogue, conversation about this? Okay. Moving forward, we just have the arts in here. Rental fees going up a little bit in both areas to $75, which is still very, very reasonable in terms of for a full year. You're paying for an instrument, you're quadrupling, if not, closer to $1,000 easy on any kind of instrument that you're working on right now. And that's probably a lower end. And then you've got solo ensemble fees per student. Again, the same things that would apply for athletics, the same as up there in terms of free and reduced, so they have that. But you talk about like just fees in general for the solos, duets, trios, went up a little bit. And there's 3 different classes that you see here as well. That changes a little bit. And that funds like everything from the music to the accompanist to everything else that you might have to do from that. And then if there's a large group ensemble, the WSNA entry fee is divided by the number of performers, and it's a minimum of $5 per student. Maximum cost of student preparation solo ensemble fees is $150 per family per building. I don't think we see that exceed too much yet, but just so that there's a top line too that we are looking at as well. Technology protection fee and Horseman and Bessie Allen will, I think it was like 15, now it's like 38. So if you damage or you in one way harm the device that you're given, we can have basically the insurance of it. So, but this is optional so that if you do break it, you'll be fully repaired. If you do break it, you're paying for everything that you put in. Some of those things are not cheap in terms of the screen repair, other things like that. It all costs.
That carries, that's what that line says underneath.
Yep.
So if nothing happens, it rolls over.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Getting to food service. Again, these are all coming in terms of, making sure we're meeting our needs. Student service, breakfast and lunch. Again, free and reduced also applies for this. Kindergarten through fifth grade, breakfast, $8 a week, $1.60 a day. Lunch, $13 a week, $2.60 a day. 6th to 8th grade, $8.75 a week, $1.75. Lunch, $13.75 and $2.75 a day. And then the high school, $11.75 a week, $2.35 a breakfast, and then $16.75 lunch per week, and then $335 a day, which are still really low. Just coming from different districts again, those are really, I don't want to say reasonable, but they do hit the lower price point in terms of a school lunch for kids at this point in time.
There's some kind of formula where we kept it the same year after year after year for a while because of some percentage of something that had to meet the federal guidelines. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we couldn't charge anymore, I guess, because of that.
Yeah, I can't tell you that specific, like exactly how that all lays out, but there is a formula that they have to depict. But Chartwell's is kind of influencing this too, saying like you need to raise your costs because what they're paying right now, we did not raise them the last couple of years just because we were trying to keep them minimal as much as possible for our families and help out as much as we could with the other monies we were getting substantially from the food program. So, yeah, I mean, again, these are extremely low. I do not know how much here comes the adult. So breakfast is $350, adult $465, which is still significantly low. And then the kindergarten 12th grade for the reduced, 30 cents a day, 40 cents a day. If we don't, like we have some families that are not like falling in the deficit area and who have not filled out any paperwork, and our Chartwell's people do a really good job of connecting and trying to connect and say, hey, we need your money, we need those things. And it's like again and again in the calls. But if we get to a point, we actually have a collection agency that we go into it. And the whole point is not to go say, we got you, but it's more of let's say, hey, can we get you to fill out the paperwork? Because many times it's about paperwork and just completing that for free and reduced. And that's negated. But if it's not, then we need those dollars back that are not being accounted for. They get messaged in the phones, and you probably has a family or like on your device saying you're getting into the deficit in terms of your lunch totals for the week or whatever it might be, so that you can keep in track of that as well and replenish that if need be.
I have a question. There's, at least at the high school, there's a la carte type of items. Is that included in this fee, or do they have to pay extra?
They would have to pay extra. This is the school lunch, mandated by the school program, lunch programming for the nation too. So if you want something like else or extra, you have to pay additional fee to that.
Okay, and does Chartwell set that fee, or do we talk to them?
We work with them on that, and per item, but they pretty much have a good idea of what they're going on. But we try to make it at least doable for kids to be able to have options too as well.
Okay.
Any questions there? Good. All right, that's all I have in the fees area and the raising, and again, results of referenda. The next part is revisions to the BAM's co-curricular handbook. And that was all sent out to you already ahead of time. So, and I think Jillian also highlighted the areas. I guess my question are there any questions in any of those areas that I can answer that, and if I can't answer those, I can get those answers back, but.
I just have one really small thing on the chart that shows what the percentage of the penalty means per the number of games per sport. The basketball one is not updated, and I know at the end, she puts that there's some pending changes maybe coming, so they'll have to fix that. But the one that's changed a number of years back, the basketball max is 24 games now, and this says 22. So.
Okay. I can look into that and make sure we're adjusted appropriately.
Yeah, because then the percentage of the penalty
changes
the number of games.
Yeah.
But
Will there be, I know there was a call out about NIL and contact, will there be language put into our book?
Yeah, I again, when you talk about name, image, likeness, it is completely separate from the schools. That is the athlete, the person working with any company or organization that decides to do that. They cannot use any of our numbers, or they can't use any of our colors, they can't use our logos, they can't even use our name. So it's literally just the person. Again, I comparison it to Cellcom for the Packers. They don't wear any of their uniforms or can't use their uniforms. They have, you see them wearing blue or whatever it might be. So it's literally just the person that's making that to it. And that's what's in the language as well from the WIA. But we need to tailor that in once, and we try to want to get this going and clear, but I think especially at the high school level, not to say that we're gonna have that either. I would say if we really, when you're looking at the state, who can really actually make some kind of, I think, business out of it, you're probably talking 5, maybe 10 kids total, if that, and that might be even a lot. Some places have had like teams of like people come together, like a community in these states that actually have adopted NIL already. And the business will say, but they can't use the team name. They gotta just say, hey, it's Rick, it's Jacob, it's Steve, throughout the whole thing. So we just gotta make sure.
I didn't know if that part needed to be put into the co-curricular handbook saying you can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that we're not part of that, but like, you cannot use the likeness of the district or your.
I asked my son about it, and he said that it's gonna be more of an overblown reaction to it than what the actual effect is gonna be.
Yeah.
Right.
It's more restricted than the college version of it, and he thought maybe 15 or 20 athletes in the entire state would be in a position.
Yeah.
And that might be even high.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Right, and he said where it might matter a little bit locally is maybe a local restaurant may feed the kids for free before a big game or something where things that used to maybe be a little in the gray area, now they'd be able to do that, I guess. So, but a lot has to come out yet on actual practice.
Yeah, it's uncharted, and there's not a state law. This is WIA, and so they're a separate organization. And I think there was some urgency, obviously, by WIA to try to push something through before the state actually came up with something. The other question I asked about in terms of NIL with the WIA when I was on a conference call with them, I said, is there a certain agency or provider that all individuals in the state of Wisconsin have to attune to? Because the state was going to come under that realm, like it was only these 3 groups that they could actually work with in terms of name, image, likeness, in terms of marketing campaign or whatever it might be. And WA said, no, anybody can use whoever they want moving forward.
There's opportunity for your son.
I'll keep this one out of the, Any other questions about the handbook for co-curricular? Okay.
I appreciate putting the changes on one page.
Yep,
That was really helpful.
So I will pass it along to Jillian, and I also said that's a awesome thing for her to make that happen. Cause that's not easy to do too, but I think it was, and her urgency was she wants to be able to get this in the hands of people even before the summer so that they can know what's gonna be going on moving forward. Okay, I gotta just get back here, everybody. Just making sure I've hit everything. Got that. Yeah, I think that hits most of the things that we want to discuss here. And then next month, just so everybody knows, this is when the principals will share out data of what they had from Ames web testing and other assessments from pre-ACT, ACT, the data that they got, and forward testing as much as they could publicly that they can at that point. But just so everybody knows, is like all the testing has been completed from Access for ML and EL. Our forward testing K through 8 has been completed. Our pre-ACT and our ACT is all completed as well. All that stuff wrapped up last week. We started getting Access testing scores in just today, so that's awesome. We can start seeing where our ML students are at. I believe in the next 2 weeks, we'll have pre-ACT data back already, which is phenomenal. Forward testing takes a little bit longer, but not too much since everything's digitalized now. And ACT is like a 6 to 8 week after you put in conception. So people have some results. Now we might have more information ahead of time so we can share some of those things. But I also want to talk at that next meeting too, some of the changes in terms of like how we're going to get this done and really get laser-like with our our groups and to make sure that we're making this happen. We had a really good conversation today about special education, 612, of like how we're gonna approach that a little bit differently, and then how that also affects regular education too, 612. And it's exciting to see some of those things, but I want to get some information so that you can see how we're gonna move that needle for our kids. So, more to come.
All right. Next item is our new business. So we have 8 items to cover. Our first one is consider approval of employee retirements discussed in closed session. So we actually have 2 retirements coming up. So the first one is Jackie Krupp. I want to celebrate a long career here within the district and excited for her next chapter. Will be retiring at the end of this school year. And then the second one is Chris Schultz. Also appreciative of Chris's 6 years within our district, leading our special education program and really making things happen in that part of the district. So if there are no questions, looking for approval for those 2 retirements.
Can I just make one statement? I just want to thank them again, like you're saying, John. I mean, Jackie had 35 years. I mean, that's an unbelievable, awesome career. And Chris too as well, just like what they've provided for the district, and we just thank for their service and what they gave back. So I just, again, we're really grateful for the individuals who have given their lives to our schools. So,
Thanks, Matt. I look for a motion for approval of
I'll make
retirement.
the motion.
Second?
And roll call when you're ready.
Huck,
Yes.
Hefner,
Yes.
Geckerman,
Yes.
Gillings,
Yes.
Mathew, yes.
All right. Our next item is to consider approval of administrator contracts as discussed in our closed session. So look for a motion to approve those contracts unless there is any additional questions.
So moved.
I'll second.
You second?
Yep. And then roll.
Mathew, yes. Geckerman,
Yes.
Huck,
Yes.
Hefner,
Yes.
Gillings.
Yes.
Third item is consider approval of new hire as discussed in our closed session. So we have one new hire, Michael Lohr, social studies 6th grade teacher. So excited to have, Michael's already supporting the district, but having him in this role starting next year. So look for approval for that.
So moved.
Second.
Did you have a question
I
before?
was gonna ask Matt if he, this is an open position, right? It's not a new position.
this was an open position that opened in the fall. And we had, when we decided to fill that, it was under the understanding that it would be a conditional contract, meaning, someone would come in, do the job, but in the spring, when the posting came back out, that person could be part of the interview process, but it didn't guarantee that person the position either. So they were right along with all the other candidates in that pool.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yep.
We weren't adding a position in view of the referendum results. It's an existing position that's being permanently filled now. Okay.
Okay, Hefner,
Yes.
Huck,
Yes.
Gillings,
Yes.
Mathew, yes. Geckerman,
Yes. All right, next item was, or is consider approval of Oriole zone rate for 25-26 school year, which was just covered in Matt's report out. So look for a motion to approve that.
so moved.
Second?
And roll.
Mathew, yes. Hefner,
Yes.
Geckerman,
Yes.
Huck,
Yes.
Gillings.
Yes.
Okay, fifth item is consider approval of student and activity fees for the 25-26 school year. I'll make that motion
I'll second
and roll.
Geckerman,
Yes.
Gillings,
it. Yes.
Huck,
Yes.
Hefner,
Yes.
Mathew, yes.
Sixth item is to consider approval of breakfast lunch prices for our 25-26 school year. So look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, then roll.
Mathew, yes. Huck,
Yes.
Geckerman,
Yes.
Hefner,
Yes.
Gillings,
Yes.
Okay, next item is consider approval of the 25-26 school year activities guide that was discussed a little bit earlier.
So-
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call when you're ready.
Hefner,
Yes.
Gillings,
Yes.
Happy, yes, Geckerman,
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes,
All right, and the last item is appoint board member or board committee members. So we currently only have one item, a standing policy committee that we have Jacob on. So thank you, Jacob, for continuing that, but also Terry was on it. So looking to appoint Katie to that policy committee member as well. So thank you for stepping up to do that. We appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
And then make a motion to approve that, or is it?
no, you're just to make
Just
the
one.
appointments,
Alright.
yeah, and you have the other ones to appoint to then.
In all the WASB delegate will still be Steve Hawk.
Sure,
The CISA rep will also be Steve.
no, I wasn't that before, I think somebody else.
Oh, that was
Maybe
Rick. Rick, okay. And then our deputy clerk is, well, Matt, right?
Typically, it's
Yeah,
the administrator.
so we'll continue with Matt.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
All right,
that's our last item, so we are adjourned as of 8:21 PM. So thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.